to me, I feel great. I feel like I just wrestled my first match in 7 years, but it's a lot like a lot of the training I do in combat sports, and I feel good. I'm happy. I think that's the big thing that kind of resonates through all this, right? Like I'm just. I understand it's a different, CM Punk, and some people might, oh, where's angry Phil? I got fuck all to be angry about right now, man. I'm just happy, and I think people are happy that I'm happy. So I'm just gonna kind of ride that wave, I'm still high as a kite, and I probably will be, and I'll let you know when I'm not anymore.
Hey, you talked about Terry Funk and watching him and how much he's like kind of influenced you. And then him going into ECW and stuff like that, and kind of redefining himself with just the new look kind of thing, and being kind of player coach akin to Slapshot and Reggie Dunlop and stuff. How do you feel? Do you kind of channeled him a lot with Terry Funk and what he's kind of taught you throughout the time?
I think, I don't think Terry Funk gets the credit for being, the wrestler he was. I don't think a lot of those guys do, but I also think it's a generational thing. There are very few people who were wrestling fans while certain people were hot, I mean, how many people in this room have ever seen Terry Funk wrestle live? Okay, so there's a few of you, but how many saw him wrestle live when he was Terry Funk? I'm talking like NWA champion. I know you do. You're really dating yourself, but and I think there's a lot of people out there that don't think I'm shit. And I think that makes my job a lot easier going forward because, I know who I am, and it's fun to be able to remind people.
Cool.
What's next now for you? I mean, you're going to be a full-time pro wrestler. Are you going to work behind the scenes with the new generation? Do you think you have been an influential guy now that we are seeing Adam Cole and Bryan Danielson now in AEW?
That's a question for them. I'm not going to sit up here and tell you that I'm influential and I'm great. And I was always just a kid who loved pro wrestling, and I wanted to do it. And let's see how far we can take it. And somewhere along the line, it wasn't fun for me anymore. And when you're on the road over half the year, like not enjoying what you do. Takes its toll mentally and physically. So I'm stoked that I'm in a place now where I don't got to race to the next town and wrestle the next day. So if I am sore, banged up, I get to rest, I get to chill. I mean, thankfully I live here. I get to drive home and hang out with my wife and my dog. So it's probably the best part.
Hey Punk.
Yes.
First off, congratulations on a great match tonight.
Well, thank you.
And my question is, now that you've beaten Darby, what is your next opponent that you're going to be trying to face?
I don't know. I don't have any plans. My next opponent is my dog at home. I got to take him on a walk and make sure he doesn't try to bite anybody. But I'm honestly kind of flabbergasted at the amount of talent in this locker room. You could put it up there with some of the more ridiculously stacked rosters of any era, in different years, but there's tons of people I want to get in the ring with. I've talked about it. Ricky Starks, Hobbs, Pillman Jr., Griff too. Those guys are in tag teams. I guess I have to find a tag partner if I want to, mix it up with them. But Jungle Boy, obviously Adam Cole, obviously Daniel Bryan. I've never wrestled Kenny Omega. I've never wrestled the Young Bucks. The sky is the limit.
You've talked a lot about, some of the talent that you've been wanting to work with. You just mentioned some right now. So being in the ring with Darby here today, what was the most surprising or unexpected thing that you learned while being in the ring with him?
Oh, gosh. I don't really know if anything was unexpected. I mean, I knew who I was getting in the ring with, There's a reason that he was the first guy I came back to wrestle. There's something about him. He's different. He's good. And in the hierarchy of AEW, it wouldn't make any sense for CM Punk to come right in and go after a Kenny Omega. Doesn't mean that Darby is any less talented. It's just if there is a hierarchy with wins and losses and where people are. I thought Darby was a great start because he's a great opponent. He's The fans love him, and I thought that we did a great job of not trying to sway that. Hopefully, to me, pro wrestling is the best when everybody involved in something comes out looking better, and hopefully we accomplish that tonight.
So how do you feel about, how do you feel about Daniel Bryan and Adam Cole being with AEW now? What's that mean to you?
I mean, I got to...
Sorry about that.
Excited.
Someone have a bomb?
Sorry, buddy.
Pardon my lewdness. I got a boner for that.
That's honest.
Honestly, I feel everybody has their own journey and their own story and their own experiences where we used to work, and but I heard him say it. I left and I don't got a lot of good things to say. He left and he says he loved the place. But what does it mean when you love that place but you still don't want to be there? You want to be here. I think that speaks volumes. Adam Cole is a guy that I've never wrestled. I know I'm going to sometime. I look forward to it. Daniel Bryan is a guy I have wrestled, and I feel like that's somewhere down the line too. It's literally I'm a kid at Christmas. I unwrap a gift. I don't know what's in it. It could be Adam Cole, it could be Daniel Bryan, it could be Kenny Omega, it could be the Young Bucks, it could be Will Hobbs, it could be Ricky Starks. I mean, it's just endless. I'm so happy right now.
Did you get any feedback from Tony or anybody else about the Daniel Bryan reference in your promo a couple weeks ago?
No. That was. I think you saw me live go, ooh, maybe I shouldn't have. Maybe I shouldn't have said that.
It was fine.
It was fine.
It was fine.
I think I didn't remember immediately, and then I ran back a couple matches later, and I was like, oh yeah, I think I mentioned Daniel Bryan. It was good. And he was
I
like,
told him I think it's going to be okay, man.
I think we've been doing a good job with really poorly kept secrets. That I think the fans here just want to have a good time. So it's not so much about trying to shuck somebody in the back door, draped in a curtain, and hide them from everybody. But I think we do a really good job with surprises.
Punk, how much have you spoken to Brian since all this stuff has been going on?
I talked to him. No, I talked to him today.
First
you know
time?
what I mean? Like, that's it. Like, I didn't want to reach out to him and be like, hey, I know you're coming, brother. Because I knew I would see him today, and I would talk to him, and I waited until he was done doing his thing, and I gave him a big hug, and it's just exciting. It's exciting to be here right now.
Did you guys say anything to each other during that hug?
What's that?
Did you guys say anything to each other during that?
Yeah, I said good promo.
You guys, we talk all the time about Hall and Nash and Hogan changing the business in that one moment. We saw one hell of a moment here tonight. What kind of tangible effect do you believe that will have on the industry going forward?
Gosh. Obviously, I think it's going to be very impactful. I'm not personally in the business of a war or competing. I know who competition is and who competition isn't. To me, we focus on ourselves, we focus on the talent we have, and we focus on the people in the building, and I think that's how we grow. It's not about throwing stones, and I know TNT loves ratings, and I know everybody's going to look at stuff and compare the two. For a company that's only been around for 2 years, I think they're doing great. And if you're competing with somebody on another night that's got a 30-year head start, well, that's fine. But to me, our competition is our audience. And as long as we keep them engaged and keep them happy, and I think that, to bring it back around, that's what we're doing. So I'm not Hogan, I'm not Savage, Daniel Bryan and Mike and Adam Cole, they're not the outsiders. I see the parallels. This is totally different, and I'll go ahead and say it, and people can quote me and they'll be pissed off about it. To me, this is bigger.
How would you rate your performance tonight? Or is it really too early? You need to really look back at the match and you're like,
how would you rate my performance?
10 stars. Out of a 10 scale?
Out of 20? Come on.
In all honesty, I would say an 8, just because it seemed like halfway through the match. No, I'm being honest, because it seemed like in a little bit there, you got a little. You can tell you were winded. You had been in the ring in 7 years. That's before being brutally honest.
Did it look like I haven't wrestled in 7 years?
Cardio, beyond cardio, no. You look great.
You speak a lot about happiness, right?
Yes.
And you are obviously thrilled every time you come out to the ring, you've got the crowd around you, you're surfing into the crowd, and there's just a lot of joy around. And that extends both from the audience to kids and adults and us and people watching to you. When you're in the locker room, who are you the most happy to speak with, to work with, to share your knowledge with, or to learn something new from right now in AEW?
Everybody. You know, I mean, Sting came up to me today, and, you know, I don't think these guys are lying, but Sting was just like, you know, it reminded me, your match with Darby reminded me of what Flair did for me. You know, when I went 45 minutes with him, was it in Greensboro?
Greensboro.
Yeah. I mean, that's a quote from him. And, like, I don't think the dude's going to lie to me. And that means something to a kid like me, you know? Sting and I put together our segment from Dynamite the other day. And it was just refreshing to have him be like, well, no, what do you think? And I was like, no, what do you think? And we went, you know, we did the respectful thing, and then we came together, and I thought, grew our ideas together and made a pretty good segment. And so I'm learning from Sting, which is wild. And there's familiar faces. There's Arn, there's Dean, there's guys like that I will always default to. Guys, what do you think? Jim Ross, what do you think? You know? But I do see younger guys defaulting to me. And, you know, I do think that is a lot of people will tell you that, oh, I love the business, but, you know, you got to give back to the business and this and this. I just think it happens organically. If somebody, I'm here to help somebody if they want the help, but I'm also still learning. There was a point where I was like, I'm not learning anything. This isn't any fun, and that's when you know you got to get out. And now I'm back, and I'm around creative people that are happy to come to work, and it's a fun, great learning environment.
Tony, can you believe that you did this? Because you're every one of us, right? Only you had money.
I'm not a White Sox fan.
That's right. Tony, can you believe you pulled this off? Like, you changed the industry.
I didn't. It wasn't. It was everyone. I mean, it was a group of great people, and especially the fans. I mean, it wouldn't have been possible without all of you, all the great wrestling fans. That everyone made it possible.
But no one. When you look around, you're from this area. When you look around at what this is, I mean, do you ever just like smell the roses? No one else could have done what you did.
I don't know if that's true.
You're a real wrestling fan who had the means to do this.
Nobody else could have signed CM Punk. So that is legit.
So then I guess it is.
That is legit.
It's official. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr.
Well,
Punk.
Tony, how are you feeling right now?
I've never felt better in my entire life. It's the greatest feeling in my entire life. I've never felt better. I can't believe we pulled it off, and this has been a long time. Like Mr. Punk said, it's been almost 2 years in the making, so it's pretty special, and thank you very much. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Tony, the word we're all hearing on social media tonight is perfection. And I want to know what you think now that do you feel like you've climbed Mount Everest tonight? Because this was an amazing show in front of a hot crowd that could not have been happier walking out. Is there a letdown for a creative guy like yourself after a night like that?
It always feels like, I mean, if you plan something and it comes off exactly like you wanted it to come off, which is great, and it's great, then that's the best feeling in the world. I've worked in sports a long time, and I've had some great moments in sports, and playoff wins, beating the Steelers in Pittsburgh in the playoffs, and this is one of the best feelings in the world. I can't compare it to anything, and it came off perfectly. It is whatever the opposite of a letdown is. This is the opposite of a letdown. Thank you.
Tony,
last question, and then we're going to let
Can I ask the last question?
Well, last question, I would use it for. Don't ask me. Use it for Punk because.
Tony, can I ask the last question really quick?
Yeah, but ask him because I'm staying.
She already asked me a question.
Oh, then it's somebody else. Then ask it. I'm sorry.
Two more
Give
questions.
Punk 2 more questions.
Two real quick questions. Okay, number one is that what was the day or frame where you flipped the switch where you decided I'm going to come?
I don't know. I would have to. There for sure was a day, but I'd have to think back on that.
But around one,
I mean, they were in the middle of the pandemic. I've already said it that the locker room and the situation with Brody Lee's passing, I think, made me really go, oh, that's different. Just people being respectful and tight-lipped about a personal situation where there's kids and a wife involved. Like I was floored. I was friends with Brody. You know what I mean? So it's just like that means a lot. And it goes far with a guy like me who came up in this business, and you always hear things like, oh, the boys, they're family, it's your family, it's your family. And it's never ever been like that. People will use that to their advantage and take advantage of other people, and to actually see that, but them not boasting about it, to me, was special. And then you see that and you're like, oh man, maybe there's something to that. You know, maybe it's not all the negative stuff that I remember from being in a locker room. I'd have to really think, but that was the big one. Honestly, that was the big one, because that I remember just texting Tony and just being like, I'm amazed that this got out. You know, like what a tragic thing, and everybody kept it secret, and that went a long way with me.
And then one other thing is, this is a match that like nobody's really thought of, but tonight when you went face to face with Sting, it's like, okay, you grew up, Sting was a big star. Sting's, at a certain age, I don't know, but is there something like in a bucket list thing where I'd love to have this on my resume that I once wrestled on a pay-per-view with Sting, or I once wrestled in a big match with Sting?
I've had such, I hate saying the word blessed. I'm not a religious guy. I've had such an amazing life where I've found myself in situations where I would just always kind of look around and be like, man, this is wild. And without ever having a bucket list, it'd be hard for me to write things down on the bucket list because I've done so many cool things. But that's one of them. That's a bucket list thing. It's an item that I never thought I would, because your brain doesn't go there. We were never in the same company at the same time. We're two different generations of wrestler, and you never thought it was possible. And now it's just like it is. And that's kind of how I feel about the entire groundswell of AEW as a whole. Like you got me and Darby and Sting in a ring, and it's legitimately 3 different generations. And the knowledge of wealth he brings. Yeah, I mean, it's a bucket list item now. I think for sure down the line we're probably going to tag, you know what I mean? Like that feels like there's something there. And, there's real organic moments here, like him coming out and shaking my hand. We didn't talk about that. That wasn't a planned thing. He came out and he did it. And before I shook his hand, I looked him in the eye and I was like, this means something to a kid like me. And he said, it means something to me too. And that's wild to me. And that's the playground we have here, where we could do all the stuff that you didn't ever think possible.
Tony,
Thank you very much.
I'm staying, and thank you. I would like to publicly, in front of everyone, say one more time, thank you on behalf of AEW and all the wrestling fans worldwide to you, CM Punk. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just like that, I think that was it. I mean, we're doing more. If anybody has any further questions, I don't know if we could take one more.
I got one.
What?
As someone who loves Chicago as much as you do, you're wearing the stars on your trunks.
Yeah.
What does it mean to you that Chicago has become one of the hub cities for AEW?
I mean, it means everything, I know people groan and say, oh, he can't compare him to Michael Jordan. You know what? We sold out the United Center on a rumor. You know what I mean? Like, if I could toot my own horn, I'm a kid from Chicago, and I don't know if I can claim I sold out this building, because I think it was sold out before I was ever announced. But I sold out the United Center. I sold out the Rosemont Horizon. Like that, man, that's super great, and I would like to brag on that, but it's also super humbling for a kid who, I was at the first show ever at the United Center, the first ever event, SummerSlam 1994. I watched Brett and Owen in the cage, and for Chicago, I mean, I feel like Chicago has just been ripe for the taking. They love wrestling and they want to be entertained. And there's been some great shows here. I was on them. I was on a few of them. And then, I just feel like we got the pulse of the whole place. Like to me, I mean, what's next? Wrigley Field, Soldier Field. Let's go.
Let's go, man.
Let's go.
Let's go. And you guys, thank you all very much. And again, I have to say that none of this would have been possible tonight. We were, the company had been doing great. We had a lot of momentum. We were very hot. But the person who made us reaching these new high heights, bringing this new interest, and changing our company and changing all of our lives is CM Punk. And thank you very much.
No,
you coming here changed all of our lives. Everybody in this company, you changed it for all of us. You made it better for all of us. Thank you.
I'm leaving.
Well, thank you.
Thanks, man.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
guys.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Was it me or him who wanted redemption? I don't even remember at this point. It's just amazing to me that the whole thing stems from somebody interrupting me while I'm trying to do an interview. Hopefully nobody does that tonight. I'm high as a kite right now, and I don't do drugs, so it's strictly from the match and that audience and what we do here. So redemption? I don't know, but I sure did have a whole lot of fun.
After the match, Punk, you motioned like you were going for the belt. Is that your next goal or achievement?
Strap season, baby.
Yeah.
Why not? Why not? All right, I don't know either.
You did it. Punk, tell us about that promo with Eddie Kingston a few weeks ago in Rampage. I mean, we know all about you in the promos, the pipe bombs, but what Eddie Kingston did with you was great. Tell us about that.
Again, pro wrestling, man. I think when you get people who are, it's kind of ironic, right? Because we're characters, but we're not. We're real people. You know what I mean? What you see is what you get with me. What you see is what you get with Eddie. And I hate peeling the curtain back, so to speak, but I used to watch professional wrestling all the time, and two dudes can get into an argument, and then they can fight about it, and it doesn't really have to be deeper than that. And if you can get people to relate to that stuff, if you can get people to relate to, oh man, I was at a job one time and maybe I didn't apply myself 100%, and there's that guy in the office that always called me out on it, and screw that guy. And vice versa. Everybody can take a side when you put me and Eddie in the ring, and I don't care what side you take. It's just you're going to take a side. There's going to be some situation in your life, your past, your experiences that, as you watch that on television, you're engaged, and that's that was the kind of the whole point. I mean, Jerry Lawler used to do it all the damn time. Nobody's done it since, so we're doing it. What's old is new.
Punk, the last time that we were here, we were all talking about, you coming into the company and all of that. So now, you've been here for a while, so I kind of want to get your thoughts on how the experience has been in terms of, have you been surprised or anything, any sort of unexpected stuff? How have you been enjoying it?
Man, I don't know if anything was a big surprise, except just maybe just how consistent we are, I have opinions just like the fans do. Not everybody's going to love me or what I do. I don't necessarily have to, like everything on the TV show, but that's the whole point, is we're not giving you one thing for 2 hours or 3 hours. We're giving you a variety of different things. And I think everybody who loves pro wrestling can find something that they love about the show, To me, that's the most, I don't even think it's really surprising, it's just, it's a breath of fresh air. It's different, and it's rad, and it's one of the reasons I was drawn to this place. It's one of the reasons why I wanted to be here, and it's one of the reasons I'm here.
Well, do you think the fan base from WWE followed you here and left that brand, or do you feel this is a different type of fan than you've ever performed in front of before?
I definitely think there's overlap, right? I don't know if everybody who was a WWE fan came over here specifically just to watch me, but what I recognize in front of an AEW audience is an audience that I used to wrestle in front of prior to me going to the WWF. They're wrestling fans, you know, and I will never understand the criticism of appealing to your fan base. If this is our fan base, we give them what they want, everybody's happy. Now I understand building a business and people talk about trying to get casual viewers. I don't think there's casual wrestling fans anymore. My opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe somebody in TNT is going to get mad that I'm saying this or I am of this opinion. But you know, our fans are wrestling fans, and you know, we give them wrestling. Man, what a novel concept.
Punk, I read a tweet earlier today that said if anyone can bring the IWA Mid-South out of CM Punk, it would be Eddie Kingston. And we saw a little bit of a different element than what we've seen from you in AEW. What does he bring out of you, and how did you channel that intensity?
Well, I hope it's not too much like I'm getting paid, right?
This is a lot more people here than I remember. I remember
I just
10,000
make
people
sure-
at IWA Mid-South.
I just want to make sure I'm
He
not
gets-
going to wind up being owed any money.
He's
or anything
compensated.
like that. No, man, Eddie's just real and he's raw. You know, like he's a throwback. He's legit. He's a throwback. He's a guy that you can take and you can put him in the ring in the 70s in various territories. And like I said earlier, he's what you see is what you get. This is Eddie Kingston. Dude's not an astronaut. The dude doesn't bring a condor to the ring and try to pretend like he's, you know, like a Birdman. You know what I mean? Like it's just real people put in real situations, and you know, we build from there.
This is the first time we've seen the crowd turn on you a little bit during a match. There was the tease of a five-knuckle shuffle spot, then there's you running your knee into his head repeatedly. Like you had to know that was coming, considering the opponent you're facing, because he's a beloved fellow as well.
I have one boss when I'm in the ring, right? And I often like to say I have no boss when I'm in the ring, but the truth is the people. And I listen to them, and you know, sometimes I go with the flow and I let them take me places, and sometimes, you know, regardless of a 7-year gap, I've been doing this for a minute, I know what I'm doing, you know, and to me it's fun just to fuck with people, and you know, that's the whole juice for me, right, is it's getting reactions, getting different reactions, and kind of getting to play with that. And you know, 16 years ago today we lost Eddie Guerrero, and I just thought, man, I'm wrestling a dude tonight named Eddie. Like, how great is this going to be when I get them chanting for Eddie? And in my head, I'm just going to be thinking about Eddie Guerrero, you know, like, so I get to play with emotions and stuff like that because I feel them too, you know, and when they're chanting for Eddie, I'll go ahead and give them 3 amigos, you know what I mean? Is this not what you want? Are you not entertained? It's just, I never really expect to get booed or get cheered. I have a pretty good idea, and I think what I'm really, really excellent at is reading the room. Again, pulling back the curtain. It's one of the reasons why after, you know, a Friday ago when me and Eddie did the promo in the ring, I didn't want people to see me or him until tonight, because I figured Hay was in the barn, we'd set the stage. I didn't want to go and influence them either way any more than we already did. And let's just let the chips lie where they are. And Saturday we'll go out there and we'll see what's what. And that's what I did. You know, hopefully everybody enjoyed it. You know, they like being taken for a ride.
Oh, did you speak with Eddie Guerrero before?
I mean,
Thanks, Tom. You've wrestled with such a variety of opponents since you've got here, and with Eddie, this was like your first kind of real life feud with anger in it. So I'm wondering, like, how far ahead have you looked at who you want to go with next, and kind of dream matches? And Tony, your input as well, like how much you plan for someone like Punk?
I look pretty far ahead, but that's just me being greedy. Like, I want to wrestle you and you and you and you and you, and I know we're gonna get to it all eventually. Sometimes I want to step my foot on the gas and go full bore, but you know, it's pretty calculated. you know, I wrestled Darby. Everybody had a different style, you know. So yeah, I'm coming back and I'm proving that like still that dude, you know, like I can still do it all. And today, you know, it wasn't a wrestling match. It was a fight. But things change. You know what I mean? Shout out to John Moxley. You know, like he's getting better right now. So when we lose a big piece of the company like that, you know, we got to course correct and do different things. And I think that's where I thrive because I'm challenged with last minute stuff and kind of, you know, working on the fly. But you know, everything going forward, I think is I think everybody's just going to be stoked that stuff we have planned, and even if plans change, I think we are beyond capable of, you know, instead of just putting a Band-Aid on something, like making y'all think that this was the plan all along.
Last question, please. When you came in back to wrestling, you said that the only training you've done is cardio. Now that you've been in for a while, have you trained differently, and have you realized different aspects you need to work on?
No, because what am I going to do? Get in the ring and just take a bunch of bumps? Like, I probably only have so many left, you know. So I think the biggest adjustment is it's a different ring. You know, that's not a ring that I've ever been in before. It's bigger. It's made different. It's a custom ring. So that's really the only adjustment is getting used to that thing. But I haven't changed the way I train or eat or anything.
Just one thing to note, like, because I thought it was such a historic match, and he made the point that Tony Schiavone had a great line on commentary tonight that so far CM Punk has out-wrestled every opponent he's had, but tonight he was going to have to out-fight Eddie Kingston to win the match, and he out-fought him, and it was a great fight, and it was very different than anything else we've seen, and a lot different than these other matches, and I really enjoyed it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anybody have one more that's really good, or do I have to?
Yeah, no, not at all. Please, if there's a really good one.
I got to follow up. Ring of Honor has meant so much to you in your career. Obviously, Ring of Honor is in a weird spot right now. Jay Lethal jumped the company. What are your thoughts on what's going on with ROH right now? And is there any ROH talent besides Lethal you'd like to see in the company?
I mean, I think it sucks if the place is going to go out of business because people are going to lose their jobs. And I would like to see Brody King here, maybe. You know, but man, there's so much talent there. So there's so much talent here. I'm sure you're going to see, you know, I didn't even know Lethal was here until that happened. So I'm sure you're going to see different people. You know, it's an exciting time.
Maybe we got one more good one, or is that it?
Yeah, I said a good one.
That was really good.
Well, it was a question.
It was a question.
Wait, with the Eddie spot, is that something you were talking about with Vicky either before or after?
I didn't say anything to Vicky. I just gave her a big, I just gave her a big long hug. Didn't have to say anything. I figured people were probably talking to her about it all day. You know, I didn't have to say anything. She didn't have to say anything. Just a big old long hug. All right, thanks, guys. Izzy?
Okay.
Hi. How are you?
Ladies first.
We should start with Izzy, then hold on for the mic. Hold on.
Yeah, sorry.
Hi, Izzy. Thank you so much.
How are you, first off?
I'm great.
That's glad to hear.
Well, I'm warning you all now. I'm probably going to start crying at some point because I'm very emotional right now, but I'm great.
I feel you. Well, congratulations on your huge win tonight. Before AEW Revolution, we saw you in 2 pay-per-view matches that were absolutely brutal. Those type of matches take years off of people inside the ring. How many more of those type of matches do you have in you?
Hopefully none, honestly. They're hard. It sucks when just like Kismet stuff sort of happens, you know, and it points you in a very brutal direction, you know. I think dog collar matches are stupid dangerous. I'm happy I still have all my teeth. I didn't even chip one today. But they're very brutal, and it's hard, I think, for fans to understand exactly how brutal they are. You know, I think most people have been punched in the face once or twice in their life, so they can kind of relate to that. But having 12, 20 feet of loggers chain attached to your neck, it sucks. And it's one of those, why am I doing this moments? But it's just kind of a love letter to Roddy Piper. I mean, my career, I had a couple of good dog collar matches with some good people, and it just kind of made sense to tell that story.
Thank you.
In the back there, please.
Righteous Reg of Pro Wrestling Illustrated and Grapsy Podcast. Great match.
Thank you.
Seems like you were having a lot of fun, even though it was super brutal, which is fun. Everybody got a little fake out with MJF and the cult of personality, but you pivoted and brought back the AFI thing. How important was it to kind of pay tribute to yourself with the gear and the theme and everything?
I mean, it's pretty important, you know. I loved ROH so much, you know, and I can't explain how happy I am that like my footage, it's in good hands, you know. It's just good to know that it's in the hands of somebody who treat it well. I literally feel like my baby is in somebody's hands that I know will raise the child the right way and do good things with it, and you know, it won't get made into just some tab on a shitty, confusing app that's hard to navigate, and the boys don't get paid anything off it. You know what I mean? So it's just, it was, you know, it's very good. But to kind of pay homage to, you know, myself and stuff like that. Listen, I didn't get to do this for 7 years. This didn't exist for 7 years for me, and you know. Obviously, the truth is that I love professional wrestling very much. So, you know, to come back and to be able to, for 6 months, you know, it's not just do whatever the fuck you want. It's doing whatever the fuck you want and being cocky enough to know that your way is not the right way. There's never only one right way, but it's fucking good. Yes. And to have somebody that listens to you. And to have somebody that can take an idea and make it even better, and just to have an open dialogue, not just with him, but with other people in the locker room, and it's great that you don't have to beat your head against the wall and explain, you know, like why your ideas are shitty and why I don't care who you think you are, that you don't know what you're doing, and it's nice. It's everything's just so great. I don't even know if I answered your question.
Thank you. Thank you.
In the back, please.
Brian Rhodes, ESPN West Palm. You were away from wrestling for a while. How special is it to have these positive feelings about pro wrestling again?
I'm sick of crying. Today's been brutal crying. First time I cried today is when they showed me my ring jacket. And they replaced the skull and bones with silhouette of Larry. I started crying. After my match, somebody came up to me. I don't need to say who, and they were just like, "You're gonna hate me for saying this, but I do this because of you." You know, I saw Straight Edge Society, and I was blown away, and I went to WrestleMania to watch you and Rey Mysterio, and I got into wrestling because of you. And I didn't know that this particular individual got into wrestling or anything because of me. So it's just, man, I'll put it to you like this. I love Bret Hart, and Bret Hart's career was cut short, and it's a goddamn tragedy because there's people that go over to Saudi Arabia and they get paid millions of dollars, and you know that should have been Brett, you know, and I just feel super fortunate and grateful and appreciative that I got a second chance, you know. I'd give it up in a heartbeat to give it to Brett, but I'm going to enjoy it. And I just love that motherfucker so much, you know. Like he's the greatest, and he was right. He was fucking. Bret Hart is always right.
Nick?
Punk, you, thank you. Punk, Nick Hausman with Wrestling Inc. You participated in a very emotional Esquire piece the past week or so, and I think it showed a lot of people a different side of you that I don't know that I ever expected you to do that and put that out there like that. How did you get sold on participating in that, and what does it mean to you to have the full story, at least from your perspective, the perspective of many others in your life?
Man, I don't know, Betty. It's not the full story. All that stuff is really, really hard to talk about. I don't like talking about myself, like, you know, and especially about all that stuff. But again, I think it's pretty important to illustrate that I came out on the other side. You know what I mean? All that shit could have destroyed me, you know, being unjustly sued, and, you know, a lot of people could have stood up, said something, helped out, you know, but they didn't, because, you know, they value their jobs or whatever. And, you know, a lot of them are now fired and work here now too, so that's always interesting. It's just important to show people that, you know, recognize when you got a second chance, jump on it, and be grateful and appreciative, you know. I think so it's important to tell those painful stories.
Thank you. Next question.
Jose Montesino from Lucha Libre Online. First of all, I want to thank you. I have this tattoo here. I tattooed this when I have 14, 15 years old. I'm going to explain you why. I'm just
going to keep crying. It's cool.
I was in high school and I was having a lot of issues with people. I was realizing that
I have a lot of issues with people too.
I realized that society was having a lot of issues, and watching you raise your voice helped me to be the guy that I am today. With that being said, who do you see in the back and you say, hey, this guy reminds me of me when I was beginning?
I mean, I just look at like every single young kid. I think there's a lot of young kids back here. They're barely 25. You know, some are teenagers, and I think it's important to treat them the way I wanted to be treated by people that were in, you know, management roles and abused them. You know, I think it's important to listen to every voice back there, and again, my way's not the right way, but you know, we can always talk about stuff and figure out what the best idea is, and I try to just kind of lead by example. I don't, you know, I never pretended to be a leader or anything like that. I just try to treat people the way I wanted to be treated, and hope that they can, you know, maybe learn from watching or asking questions or stuff like that. There's a lot of people. I'd waste all your time because I would just literally name everybody in the locker room. You know, I do think, just from a youth movement standpoint, AEW's in really, really good hands.
Niger, front row.
Thank you, Niger, Big O Belt Media. I know you're having a lot of fun in the wrestling ring right now. Any chance we see you back on the big screen in any capacity?
Big screen or little screen? Yeah, I'm actually way too busy right now. I don't know how much I can can talk about it. So just know that I have too many jobs. And the answer to your question is yes, 100%, absolutely. Big and little screen.
Okay, one more question for Punk. Hold on for the microphone.
For you?
We just do it whatever here. Yep, there you go.
Bringing it back, Punk, it's Jay Reddick with the Orlando Sentinel. Bringing it back to the night for just a second, talk to me about where the idea to tell the story through a dog collar match and some of the historical callbacks you guys had, where did that come from?
I think a lot of it can maybe be a happy accident, but if we're gonna, God, I still feel weird about, whatever. Obviously, I love Roddy Piper. I don't think it's a secret that MJF loves Roddy Piper. I think it's important to, while telling, stories, I can always go back to the bedrock of professional wrestling. And I think especially now that we live in such a weird time where there's professional wrestling fans and then there's the weird WWE fans, that's all they've ever seen. So they actually, it's like they don't know other stuff exists, and they don't know that there's other ways of telling stories and doing things, and so everything is just a love letter to professional wrestling. I think sometimes I can maybe be a little too cute for my own good, but I'm having the time of my life, and I think Roddy Piper was one of the greatest of all time. I think Bret Hart was the greatest of all time. I think, Randy Savage is the greatest of all time. And, there's a company out there that likes to spin their own yarns and have revisionist history about who truly is great and who, never existed. And we don't do that here. We don't pretend we live in a bubble. We live in the real world. So, Roddy Piper's my hero, and I wish he was here, because I would really like to see how disappointed he is in me right now.
Thank you very much.
Oh, is that it? I'm done?
You can do more. You can do more. You can do more.
Because I'm going to ask Sean why I haven't blocked on Twitter. Because
You know why?
I must have said something
I
really
tweeted
stupid.
you about Joe Kenda. You talked about
You must have
Discovery
said
Channel.
something
I
stupid.
swear I didn't.
There's no way I'd block you, because did you insult Joe Kenda?
No, Joe Kenda's the legend. Are we? Am I wrong?
I'm not blocking you. I just go ahead.
Okay.
Hold on for the mic. Hold on, guys.
Sean.
Thank you.
Go ahead, John.
Whatever you go to put out as long as you want.
So look at this guy. What a
we
boss.
see you
We're off the clock,
now.
guys. We're off the clock.
We see you emotional now. How were you when what was your reaction when you found out Tony was buying ROH? Because that had to be a pretty special moment.
Like I said, I was relieved, because obviously let's talk facts. It was either Tony was going to buy it or Vince was going to buy it, and I don't want Vince to own any of my footage. He owns enough of it. He owns enough of it that I don't get paid off of. People need to understand that when I left, I was asking questions about the network, which had not been launched yet. I was saying, how am I going to get paid off this? We don't even understand what the pay scale is. I don't know if I get paid off a gate for a pay-per-view, off a buy rate for a pay-per-view. You guys already just throw darts at an imaginary board, and you pay me whatever you want. I still get royalties. That's the only hard copy thing I see is DVD sales. So once all the DVDs go away and you're just putting stuff up on the network, I'm not getting paid. Or am I? Tell me. Let's talk about it. Oh, my guy, you're good. Oh, yeah, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. They couldn't tell me. And now I've watched my royalty checks, which I still get, dwindle to nothing because they just put everything on the network. And the boys don't get paid. That's not just me. That's everybody. That's criminal.
You can hand the mic to John.
Hey, John Alba Podcast. I think a lot of us would agree that pro wrestling is kind of at its best when you emote something and the fans feel with the match that they're watching, and your feud with MJF was full of different individual moments like that. When you look back on this, how proud of the story that you told are you, and what was your experience like working with Max?
I'm super proud of it. I do not say this lightly. I could be done again, if I wasn't having so much goddamn fun. I feel this was taken away from me. I feel I got a second chance, and I came back, and being the best is a subjective thing. I think some people, I think Brian's the best. I think Brett's the best. Some people think I'm pretty good. But to be able to come back after 7 years and knock the dust off, I think I did pretty fucking good for a 43-year-old guy who didn't take bumps for 7-8 years. And I'll pat myself on the back for that one. You know what I mean? I'm still not as old as, what's his name? Who's in Roadhouse with Patrick Swayze?
Punk? Terry.
Not Terry.
Sam Elliott?
Sam Elliott. Sam Elliott was 45 when he did Roadhouse. I still got time.
As old as Terry Funk.
I still got time. But yes, I do that. I wrestled Terry Funk when he was almost 60, so I'm okay. I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
Okay, one more right here.
Hi, my name is Justin from the Wrestling Classic. First things first, I want to say I started that page a month after you left, but it was because of you I got back into wrestling, so thank you.
I'm sorry.
Also, I apologize that's the page MJF said got him to want to drive home and wrestle because...
Right on, it's fine.
That was my bad.
Max,
Yeah.
he owes me a lot.
But that being said, secondly too, I want to say as a Canadian, I'm very happy how much you love Bret Hart. That's really cool. But lastly, at the end of the match, you kind of made a signal that you want to go for the championship. Is that something we'll be looking forward to soon?
I think so. There's people that want to wrestle here, just for wrestling's sake. But after a while, you gotta. I don't know if I have I don't know how much time I have. I don't know how many matches I have left. So if I'm not working my way towards a title shot, if I'm not trying to be where Hangman is, I don't know what I'm doing. So I do think that is something that might happen. Keep your eyes on it. I don't know. There's a ranking system here, so I think I'm doing pretty good. And we'll see what I like Hangman though. See, that's the problem. It's a lot easier to wrestle somebody when you hate them. But I like that cowboy.
Here we go. Joel.
Thank you. Hi, Joel Torres from Contralona. Every day we learn. We learn something different. Did you learn something working with Maxwell? And what's that thing that you learned that you can share with us?
I learned that there's hope because there's kids just like me who love the business for all the right reasons, and just kind of love the classics. It's like kids still start garage bands and play Ramones covers. You know what I mean? And fuck 'em, but Max is one of those kids. It's weird, right? Because he's a kid who grew up and he was a WWF fan, but he's kind of a savant because he went back and he watches some of the most obscure stuff, and he loves all kinds of wrestling except for maybe New Japan. I think he hates New Japan. But just knowing that there's kids like that put in the work, that study the history, and they get it, and they're respectful, and just there's hope.
Thank you.
Last question with AJ.
Once again, great match tonight. And how was your time training with Harley Race?
Research done.
There's hope for a generation.
I thankfully I never actually trained with Harley. He would just book me on his shows, and he would throw up in my car, and I would ride on his boat, and the most horrible thing would happen is he would just drive the boat, and every time he said beer, And I had to hand him a beer, and I was always like, maybe you shouldn't be driving the boat or anything. But just being in his house, it's weird, right? Do you ever get hit with a stun gun? No? I don't recommend it. Shut your whole body off. I thought I pissed myself, but he hit me in the butt with it, and it's not fun. But that's kind of cool, right? You know, because Harley Race liked me enough to zap me with a stun gun. You know, I think that's pretty neat. But I did learn a lot from him. He refereed a bunch of my matches. There was one particular match, I think every time I got taken over in a headlock takeover, he would bend down and he would check on me. He'd be like, "What do you say?" And he would stick both his fingers up my nostrils, and it was awful because he had gigantic hands. He would just jam his middle finger and his pointer finger like in my nose, and it sucked. But I, you know, just being around him, I learned a ton from him. He was a pretty hard trainer, so thankfully I never had to roll around and take bumps. But just being on his shows, he was the man. This is peeling back the curtain. Not supposed to say words like this, but he's the guy who taught me how to make a blade. And I think he would be pretty goddamn proud of me right now.
Thank you.
This poor guy looks so worried. Let's get him out of the way. Yeah, you got it. Laser, it's hot as fuck in here. This poor guy's been.
Last question.
Thank
with
you so
our,
much, Punk. Spencer Valdez, NSM Today at UCF. You've previously gone on record mentioning professional wrestling as one of the great original American art forms along with comic books and jazz music. And I noted during your match, and as well as Danielson versus Moxley tonight, that there is something delightful akin to jazz music in watching two competitors figure it out in the ring with their psychology. What are some correlations that you can make between professional wrestling and jazz?
Well, you know, my deep jazz background. You could have said comic books, and I could have spun that yarn.
Comics works too.
I mean, good and evil. You know, it's bad guys versus good guys. Comic books is pro wrestling. You know, larger than life characters, but also characters people can identify with. You know, some people love the Incredible Hulk. Nobody here knows anybody that's the Incredible Hulk, but everybody here knows somebody who's Peter Parker, everyday kid, got a big secret. You know, great power comes great responsibility. Just, you know, stuff like that. I think a lot of the times we are larger than life characters, but then you get a guy like me who's, you know, pretty much not, you know. There was a quote in that Esquire piece from me. I think it was from a young lady named Lindsay Kelk, and she said that you know, you knew when the Undertaker was done, he was changing out of his gear and he was getting in a car and he was driving home or whatever, and you can't really picture that guy in the top hat, you know, driving a car or whatever. But CM Punk was, you know, I'm one of you, and when I win, you win, because chances are you know a dude like me. I wear fucking sneakers for too long until, you know, my back starts to hurt because I've worn out the soles, and I have one pair of jeans, and I wear a hoodie, and I love my dog and my wife, you know what I mean? And I wear my heart on my sleeve, and honest to a fault. And so I think a lot of times kids can watch that and see that, and it's just like sometimes picking up a comic book and reading a comic book and seeing a kid like Peter Parker who's just like, he goes to high school, he lives with his Aunt May, you know, just stuff that can humanize people. So I think that's how those two things are similar. And jazz and pro wrestling, like, you got me and you got Brian right now, and you told us to go in the ring and wrestle for 30 minutes, we'd be like, yeah, fine. We don't gotta talk about shit, just like a good jazz musician. You can get up on stage, never meet the bass player, doesn't know who's playing drums behind him, and can just do whatever, go.
Awesome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys.
I appreciate everybody. Thank you for doing what you guys do, and thanks for coming to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good show. CM Punk, how does it feel knowing you got the title now and just moving forward with this kind of, almost like a new era for AEW, starting off with you in a way, looking to establish more of the brand, so to speak.
Are we using these? Do I need to talk into this?
These are on?
Do I need to talk
Yeah,
into
no,
this?
it's just for us. It's not information.
Ah, great.
Yeah.
Great.
I wish I had my phone so I could see if I have WrestleZone blocked on Twitter or not.
Very fair.
Yeah, that's a fair thing.
They're good.
What was the question?
So
We're off to a rousing start.
Just starting off with winning the title, and then going to just starting kind of like a new regime or a new start for. How's it kind of feel going with the title starting off now?
I don't think this is necessarily a new regime. I think this is just the onward and upward trajectory that AEW has been on for 3 years, you know. You can say with the addition of me, you know, we're doing better, but I look at it as like with the addition of Bryan Danielson and Adam Cole and all the talent that Tony brings in, you know, every day is a step forward, and it doesn't necessarily start with me being the champion. To me, it's a team effort, and I like to say, if you want to go, you know, fast, you go alone. If you want to go far, you go together. You know, and this is very much a team effort and a team environment backstage. I couldn't do this alone. Obviously, this guy did bring me back to professional wrestling, so all credit to him. It wasn't easy to do. And I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be the champ. I take great responsibility in holding that title, and you know, if I'm the face of AEW, then I'm the face of AEW, and I'm going to do everything I possibly can to not just put more money in my pocket, but his pocket and everybody's pockets backstage, and put on the best possible show every single time I can for all of you.
Cool. Thank you.
Nick?
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, a lot of people were talking about the promo exchange you had with. Oh, sorry. A lot of people were talking about the promo exchange you had with Paige leading into Double or Nothing. How it felt like there was some real tension there. Do you feel like you're blending in with this locker room, or do you still feel like you're kind of somebody on the outside trying to find his way in to the regular mix of AEW?
I've grown so wise in my old age that I'll do my best to be as diplomatic as I possibly can with this answer. If there's people backstage that don't like me, it's a minority, and if anybody says that nobody wants me here and nobody likes me, I like to say that nobodies don't like me and nobodies don't want me here. Run with that.
Fair enough.
Danny?
Danny Webster, Las Vegas Sun. You kind of touched on it on Dynamite about over 10 years ago in this city. You had the moment that kind of skyrocketed your professional wrestling career. To come back here 10 years, 11 years later, does it feel like a full circle type moment for you, given what happened back then to now?
Yeah, a little bit. I just did. Mark Ramondi interviewed me for ESPN, and I said something that I think a lot of people, obviously, on its face will think is ridiculous. I said I feel like the 7 years I was out of the ring, I didn't feel was wasted. I feel almost that the 10 years that I spent in WWE was wasted, because I feel it is management, owner, booker, whoever's job is to get the most out of all the talent, and I feel that I reached the potential that I could have, given the limitations they constantly put on me. And I feel here, there's no limitations put on myself or anybody, and sky's the limit. So I finally feel like I could reach my potential. So that's what I mean when I say that, goddamn, I look back on that time and I'm like, you know, like, what are we doing? To me, you're always trying to make the most money and put on the best possible show you can. And it felt like 10 years of fighting silly battles and standing on my own dick. And I'm not in the business of trying to stand on my own dick. And I'll say it one more time, I don't do that here. You know, I think everybody here can reach their fullest potential, you know? We have a dentist that works here, right? Because I chipped my teeth at some point.
She's very good.
Yeah. It fucking sucks.
Yeah.
Hi, Mike Dagger with Lucha Libre Online. Punk, it's been almost...
I for sure got you guys blocked, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
I'm pretty sure you got me blocked.
I'm pretty sure.
Positive.
Yeah, okay.
Especially after this question, you probably will like me even less. But...
I haven't answered yet, so, you know.
So, it's been around 9 years since you've been world champion somewhere else again. How do you feel? You seem a little tired, but...
Well, the show is like fucking 12 hours long.
Have you ever watched a wrestling?
You're not tired? Come on.
I'm tired as hell. Your last match was like 2 hours. So
Yeah, it was great match.
But my real question is, you had like a little bit of a Twitter war not too long ago with Eric Bischoff, where he, and I quote, he said that you were the biggest financial flop in wrestling.
That's fucking bullshit. I can tell there's only one person that can attest to that. I don't know what other people, I can only attest what's happened here and public record, and some of these things are a matter of public record because things of freedom of information and stuff. So we do, you know, have over the years a good amount of financial data in pro wrestling. I can tell you, like, no one wrestler has ever come in and made a bigger plus delta financial difference in the history of my company going into, this is the 3rd year anniversary this week, going into year 4, no one person has ever made a more positive impact. We just did a record pay-per-view buy. Every pay-per-view, he's done a 4 pay-per-view cycle now. Every one of them was the record. Whether it was All Out, where he was a huge part of the draw with Darby, and his debut, of course, is a huge thing from the first dance, the biggest Rampage draw in the history of that show. The matches, he carried the Friday Night War, which, by the way, is a matter of record in fucking court in the state of California, that we won the Friday Night War. Just ask Jerry McDivitt, because he fucking wrote it. And this guy won it versus Matt Sydal, who's a great wrestler. He had another goddamn great match on Friday night. This fucking guy, he fucking did the Friday Night War. He did the first dance. He's done the record Double or Nothing. He did the record All Out in his debut. He was a big part of a record Full Gear, a great match with Eddie Kingston, and fucking he wrestled a bunch of young guys, a bunch of veterans in between there. Will Hobbs, Daniel Garcia, goddammit. And then he showed up, did the biggest program in terms of everything, TV, box ever with MJF, and then he did the goddamn main event here. He's the biggest part of financial success in the history of this company. Let's fucking go!
We gotta put ether behind that.
Yeah, good answer. I will quasi-answer that. I didn't have a Twitter war with anybody. I never mentioned them by name, and I think people like that just need to die in the dark, and I don't need to speak their name and stuff like that. I'm focused on what we're doing and the positives we bring to the world.
I don't want anybody to die. but nevertheless, it is bullshit what he said.
Yeah. We don't need to. Everybody's got a shitty opinion, so just let them have it.
That's a shitty opinion. It's the most bullshit opinion I've ever heard. And like I said, I hope the answer I gave backed up why he's the opposite. He's actually for us the biggest financial success story in changing.
Okay, we're moving on.
Thank you. It works me up. Sorry.
Okay, after the match, you kind of made a joke, kind of in jest and kind of not about never doing another buckshot lariat.
Yeah.
I mean, did you feel like when you did that, it was like, oh my God, I made a mistake, or was it just like?
Oh, I'm sure you're not going to give me 5 stars. Yeah, that's one of those fucking things. That's the only time that I've missed it since I've tried it. I did it on TV, and I just didn't hit it for whatever reason, and it sucks. But that's the fun thing about pro wrestling is I'm more comfortable when shit goes fucking sideways, and not everything needs to look perfect, in my opinion. I'll probably beat myself up about it way too much, but mistakes happen.
So now going forward as champion, are there any names that you're looking forward to more than others? I mean, there's a list of 30 guys or more that we could go right through, but is there anyone that you're going like right now, whether it's whoever it is, that you're really looking forward to going against next?
Well, obviously we got Forbidden Door coming up, so to me, focusing on that, I think Okada, Tanahashi, Ospreay, guys like that, I'm looking forward to stepping in the ring with. AEW talent, I always think number one with a bullet is going to be Bryan Danielson. I've never wrestled John Moxley. I wrestled Dean Ambrose, so that's an interesting matchup. There's still guys on my list that I've never wrestled with: Jungle Boy, Ricky Starks. I could probably finish out my career wrestling FTR like every day for the rest of my life, and it could be different and fun every single time. Will Hobbs is another guy that I think has all the potential in the world. We got a really stacked roster. It's almost a crime that we can't do everybody justice at once, but I think we're getting there with baby steps, and I think we're learning. I think we may make mistakes, but instead of dwelling on it and punishing other people or ourselves, I think we move on and we just try to learn from things. But Bryan Danielson would probably be the first guy that comes to mind. Very selfishly, I'd love to wrestle him again.
Will Washington, Fightful. So you famously had two other reigns that kind of kicked off summer in 2005, the Death Before Dishonor 3. You won the ROH World title, and it kicked off what was known as the Summer of Punk. Fans kind of dubbed 2011 Money in the Bank the Summer of Punk. And now we're going into another summer, and here you are, the AEW World Champion. How do you feel this next reign can go the distance and top what you did with specifically the first run with Ring of Honor?
Oh God, I don't know. I mean, that's the goal, right? And it's weird too, because I'm a fall guy. I like Halloween, I like the cooler weather, but summer seems to be my time of year. I think we top it by telling great stories and making the focus wrestling, and I have a crazy sandbox full of talent that I get to wrestle, and I think that's how we try to top it. I feel like this is the first time in my career I'm more comfortable being the good guy. I've always felt a little shy about it. I feel more connected to the audience than ever before. Probably has a lot to do with me disappearing for so long. And every day really is a gift. And I think that the fans feel that, and I think I project that. It's just like, and this could all be gone tomorrow, and I'm just trying to really relish every single moment I have in the ring and make everything special. That's how we make that the best summer of Punk. Just try to make every moment count.
Dave Schilling?
Dave Schilling, LA Times. Two questions, one for each of you. Punk, you have wrestled a lot of the best in AEW so far, and I think this is probably one of your best, at least I think from a crowd response perspective. I certainly love the match. Where do you rank this in the matches you've had so far back in AEW? Tony, you've talked a lot about how you planned out the first first four champions pretty early in the AEW history. When did you know Punk was going to be number 5?
You want to go first?
Where do I rank it? I don't know. Dax will probably make me watch it. And I don't know. The thing that's going to stick in my head is, I screwed something up, and it might take that out of the equation, and it might have felt like damn near perfect match to me just from the crowd response. And I feel like they were super into him and me, and it's more of a engagement with the audience and letting them kind of dictate which way we go. It's up there. Especially when you consider, this is the first time we ever locked up, and the first time you ever wrestle somebody, there's normally sometimes it gets a little sticky, So as far as matches go, first time we ever touched, I think it's pretty damn good. But as far as ranking it, I don't know. I'm honestly my worst critic, and I think everything I do is kind of meh. So I don't want to rate it.
I'm embarrassed to answer this specifically, especially with the champ sitting here. But so I'm gonna kind of dance around your question, but say that we got very close in the pandemic, and then as soon as I think there was a point where there were no fans in the seats still, but we were really tight. And then things came together, and the first dance lined up, and it was like this miraculous thing that the United Center was available right before All Out, right, like within a month of when we came back, about a month and a half of when we first returned to the road, like, and it was exactly what he wanted. And I think I knew he could do it. I knew he could do it, and what would happen. And like I always said to you guys from the beginning, this isn't some Hollywood bullshit comeback. He's here every week. Nobody works harder than CM Punk in this company, and nobody's done more for this company in the last year than CM Punk has. And so I think in the pandemic I could foresee that like that. But from the other truth that is a good question, and I want to tell, and he knows, and is from the very beginning, like you made no secret, like you wanted to see if this thing got off the ground. You didn't want to be a guinea pig from this thing from the very beginning, and you came in at a time when the company had taken steps. And then I think like when you and I got to know each other in the pandemic, I think it like opened up, it created a chance for us to like, we had a lot of time at home and just started talking on the phone a lot and became friends. And so I think like that created an opportunity. We just didn't know when the fans would come back, but the fans have made this so special from the first dance. So the first moment he walked out is one of the great moments in wrestling. Tonight is such a great moment. And what I would add is from the very beginning of the company, I knew that if we had CM Punk and along with the people we got, like I wanted him from day one, but when he finally came, it was been the best stuff we've ever done. Like I was saying, gave financial, it's not just about the financial, it's about the people. And we've never been in a better place because of you. So thank you.
Thank you.
Righteous Reg for Wrestling Illustrated Grass League Podcast. I'd like to formally apologize for the tears last time we had a conversation on the Scrum.
I've cried like 6 times today. It seems to be a theme.
Congratulations on your victory. AEW are on their way back to your hometown, Chicago, Illinois. How do you feel going into Chicago now as the AEW World Champion?
I feel a great responsibility, Everybody always talks about locker room leaders and all this corny shit. And I don't necessarily think, they exist, except certain people lead by example. And to me, that's what leading is, So I'll lead the company into Chicago, and I'll learn from all my past mistakes and do the best I possibly can to show everybody in the locker room, not necessarily the one right way to do things, but how to operate and how to conduct yourself as a champion. But I'm very excited to go back to Chicago. On top of doing AEW every week, I've been filming 2 television shows, so I kind of haven't been home in a very, very long time, and I'm hoping my schedule clears up a little bit so I get to actually spend like maybe a week or 2 at home before the pay-per-view, but we'll see. Shooting a television show in the time of COVID is actually more chaotic than pro wrestling, but I'm hoping to just keep working hard, staying healthy, and I mean, the show's already sold out, so to me, my focus is selling pay-per-views, but I'm very excited to go home.
You're also leading the company into LA, champ.
I am. The Forum. It's so weird. A couple weeks ago, a couple weeks ago, I went to the Forum to see Bill Burr, and I was like sitting there, and I was like watching Bill Burr, and I just was looking around thinking, man, this is so crazy. All these people came to see this guy. Hey, wait a second. We sold this place out too. It was like an aha moment. I was like, oh, that's pretty fucking cool. It's a famous building, and again, fortunate and grateful every day. Like, I can say I sold out the Staples Center, and now I can say part of selling out the Forum, and it's neat. It's exciting to me.
Bill Burr was here last night too.
Was he?
Yeah, he was here.
Son
I saw
of a
him.
bitch. He's following me everywhere.
Great.
This guy.
Okay, last question, Stephanie.
Hi, Stephanie Chase from Digital Spy. The last time we saw you here, Punk, do one of these, you had just gone through this feud where you kind of look back on your whole career and you were very emotional. So I'm wondering about the timing now, having just done that, was that good to get that kind of out of your system, like a cathartic moment, so now you can move on into maybe another stage as the AEW champion?
Yes, it's very much by design. Come back, get your feet wet, show that you can still hang, do a bunch of callbacks, kind of catch people up to speed about stuff they may not have seen. Is a happy accident that Tony bought Ring of Honor at the same time, so it's a great advertisement for that company, and I think MJF growing up a CM Punk fan was such a big part of that we got to tell that story, not just like a nostalgic way. We got to tell it through the eyes of a kid who grew up watching it, and different perspective. It's just pretty super interesting to me that we got to tell that perspective and tell that story, and it's just like different chapters. And now this for sure is just the next chapter, and that was about the past, and this is about the future, and I'm excited to tell that story.
Thank you very much.
Dave, you good? You got anything else? You good? You good? Brian, you good? You all right? You sure?
I actually have a question. I don't want to kiss your ass here, but...
No, please, kiss my ass. That's why I'm here.
I've been watching your matches, and I feel this is the best you've ever been as a worker.
It's crazy,
I'm just
right?
a guy.
It's crazy.
And, but I wanted to ask your opinion, what you think, because obviously you had the ROH run, WWE run, this run here.
Yeah.
What do you feel?
I think it's so awesome. I think he's right. I think he's totally right. I think it's so cool.
I think you're right too, and it's really crazy. I don't know if it's I'm just older and I'm wiser. I don't know if it's just there's more, like I talked about it before. I feel like there's more of a special connection with the crowd in me. I don't know, man. I'm having so much fun, and I approach things logically all the time, whereas before, somewhere else, I think there was just all this external bullshit that at the end of the day doesn't really matter, and I don't have that here. There's not all that weird pressure, and I can just kind of go out there and, for lack of a better description, just be an artist, if that makes sense. It sounds super fucking pretentious. This is pro wrestling, right? But I think some of the best guys that ever laced up a pair of boots looked at it that way, and I said it to Mark Raimondi. I said, I used to think, man, 43 was old as shit, like these guys shouldn't be in the ring, what the fuck? And now I look at it just like I'm in my prime, and I don't want to just use that prime for me. And that's hard to say because here I am and I have the title, but I want to use the time I have now to tell those best stories in hopes that the people I'm working with and the people that are in the locker room watching are like, oh, I get it. Like a lot of it comes with experience and putting time in. So I've developed the relationship with the crowd, and I just think it's this place. This place makes me better than I've ever been because I'm able to reach my full potential. Everything about it. This is this place in the mix of talent, and for all its warts, I love AEW. But like this is what I dreamed pro wrestling could and should be in America since I was like 15 years old, and it took this long to get here. And I think that's what helps make me be the best version of myself that I've ever been. And on top of that, I got tremendous talent that carries me through and makes me probably look better than I really am. And that's part of it too.
I do have a question.
Yeah.
What was it like as far as, I don't even know if how close you were watching the undercard, but the matches the last couple of matches before your match were pretty freaking great. I mean, do you, and you would probably know that before the showing started anyway. I mean, do you feel a lot of pressure because you know you're going to follow some incredible matches?
Yes.
I mean, is that like, and you're on last. You've got to put on a great match because you've got to equal or top what has already happened.
Correct. I oddly don't feel the pressure because I think up until this point, the one match that people didn't want to follow on these pay-per-views was probably me. Regardless of whether there's furniture and blood and all this other stuff. I think that's probably why I'm in the position, and I kind of relish being in the position where I think if anybody can do it, it's me. Just because I have the experience, and I can pay attention to the undercard, and I can change things based on what other people have done, you know, so we're not seeing the same things over and over again, and you're going to see repeat moves and stuff like that, but I think I can adapt more just because I have the experience better than other people can. And I know because I have that connection with the crowd, and I really think me versus Hangman was just an interesting thing, and it was kind of 50-50 for a minute, and it might be the first title match that a lot of people kind of felt could go either way. I think that's why I'm in the position I'm in, is because I can adapt on the fly, and I can kind of change things at the drop of a hat and make it all work and not feel that pressure, whereas maybe somebody else would like feel that pressure and maybe try to do too much or whatever, and I can just go out there and just kind of listen to the crowd and be like, okay, we got him, we don't need to go completely crazy. And a testament to the crowd too, though, because it's a long show and they see everything, and they're still up for that main event, man. We got the best crowd in the world, man. We got the best fans.
Thank you, guys. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Appreciate every single one of you.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much, guys. Thank you.
A lot of people.
Just say your name and your...
Cool.
Hi, Nick Housen with Wrestling Inc.
I'll start, Nick. Show of hands. Who here fancies themselves as a journalist? You're a journalist, Nick? All right.
I try my best.
Okay. No, real quick.
Go ahead.
You still do improv?
No, not a little bit.
No?
No.
When you did improv, who'd you do improv with?
I did it with Scott Colton.
Okay, so you fancy yourself a journalist. Would you say you're friends with Scott Colton?
No, I haven't talked to Scott in some time.
So you're not friends with him?
No, Scott and I do not see eye to eye.
Oh, wow. Well, that makes two of us. My point is, if you fancy yourself a journalist, even if it's for the silly world of professional wrestling, and you have journalistic integrity, people who report things, mostly that are bullshit, and slanderous lies against myself, if you are friends with somebody, you blew my spot. If you're not friends with them, I apologize.
It's okay.
But you should probably disclose who you're friends with.
I'm not friends with you.
I haven't had anything to do with Scott Colton in almost a decade. Probably wanted nothing to do with him even longer than that. It's fucking unfortunate that I have to come up here and speak on this when I'm on my time and this is a fucking business. Why I'm a grown-ass adult man and I decide not to be friends with somebody is nobody else's fucking business. But my friends, if I fall backwards, will catch me. Scott Colton, I felt, never would have. My problem was I wanted to bring a guy with me to the top that did not want to see me at the top. Okay? You call it jealousy, you call it envy, whatever the fuck it is. My relationship with Scott Colton ended long before I paid all of his bills. I have every receipt, I have every invoice, I have every email. I have the email where he says, and I quote, "I agree to go our separate ways. I will get my own lawyer and you do not have to pay anymore." That's an email that I have. The only reason the public did not see is because when I finally had to countersue him through discovery, we discovered he shared a bank account with his mother. That's a fact. And as soon as we discovered that fact and we subpoenaed old Marcia, he sent the email, "Oh, can we please drop all this?" Now, it's 2022. I haven't been friends with this guy since at least 2014, late 2013. And the fact that I have to sit up here because we have irresponsible people who call themselves EVPs and couldn't fucking manage a target, and they spread lies and bullshit and put into a media that I got somebody fired when I have fuck all to do with him, want nothing to do with him, do not care where he works, where he doesn't work, where he eats, where he sleeps. And the fact that I have to get up here and do this in 2022 is fucking embarrassing. And if y'all are at fault, fuck you. If you're not, I apologize. But what did I ever do in this world to deserve an empty-headed fucking dumb fuck like Hangman Adam Page to go out on national television and fucking go into business for himself? For what? What did I do? Dave, what did I ever do?
You tell me.
Didn't do a goddamn thing. What's your name, sir?
Dominic D'Angelo.
Fuck the Pittsburgh Penguins. What are you doing?
I'm from Pittsburgh.
I made it really clear in Forbes, and I just want to make it clear again. Nick,
It's not his position to make it very fucking clear. There's people who call themselves EVPs that should have fucking known better. This shit was none of their business. I understand sticking up for your fucking friends. I fucking get it. I stuck up for that guy more than anybody. Okay? I paid his bills until I didn't, and it was my decision not to.
Yeah, but I shouldn't have no commented when Nick first said it. It's my fault, and if I hadn't, it's my fault. It's my fault.
I appreciate
I
that.
should have
but
just taken it head on because you never said
But I'm trying to
anything.
run a fucking business, and when somebody who hasn't done a damn thing in this business jeopardizes the first $1 million house that this company has ever drawn off of my back and goes on national television and does that, it's a disgrace to this industry, it's a disgrace to this company. Now, we're far beyond apologies, right? I gave him a fucking chance. It did not get handled, and you saw what I had to do, which was very regrettable, lowering myself to his fucking level. But that's where we're at right now. And I will still walk up and down this hallway and say, if you have a fucking problem with me, take it up with me. Let's fucking go. What's your question, Nick?
First of all, you're always very nice to me, and thank you. I wanted to ask about MJF. Obviously, he played a voicemail from you before he came out. Obviously, confronted you, Punk. Why now? Why is MJF back in the fold now? How do you both feel about him being around? How do you feel about the time he spent away? All of that.
Well, if I may, I am the one who asked him to come back because MJF's a big star in this company, and this is one of the biggest events. A year ago, CM Punk debuted here, and I thought it was right for the fans. And like I said, for the fans, I thought the best thing that we could do as a company was bring MJF back.
He wants me to work with pricks constantly. That's what it is.
Nevertheless, two of the top wrestlers in the world, MJF and CM Punk, could be a big match down the line.
Sorry to keep bringing this fucking up, but I've never spoken his word, and I don't know how long, so I'm a little fucking pissed off about it.
That's fine.
When it came down that he was going to sue me, I asked to talk to him. He refused. I asked for mediation. It was denied. I offered him money. He said it was not enough. He went ahead with the lawsuit and sued. It's his fucking funeral. I don't care. He shares a bank account with his mother. It tells you all you need to know about what kind of character that is.
You are always very nice to me. Thank you.
I appreciate it, Nick. I'm sorry if I'm a little fucking snippy.
That's fine. That's
I'm
fine.
hurt and I'm old and I'm fucking tired. And I work with fucking children.
I respect the situation.
I regret not answering your question the
And
first
I
time
only
you asked
asked it because I have some familiarity and just wanted some clarification on the story.
Yeah,
I didn't break
I
the
should have
story.
just taken it head on like I did with Blake and Forbes recently.
We're all learning here, Tony. It's okay.
Thanks.
Thank you, guys.
This is from Mindy's Bakery, by the way. It's a great place in Chicago. If you like pastries and baked goods, I suggest you go there. They're closed on Mondays and Tuesdays, though. Sorry about all that, man.
Okay.
All right, thanks.
So I've asked questions of presidential candidates in my old life. I don't think I've ever been as nervous as I am right now, but I'll direct this one to Tony. You saw the reaction MJF got when he came back out at the end of the night. Do you have any worries that he was cheered in Chicago while CM Punk, hometown guys, do you have any worries about MJF he got pure moves before. He was one of the last pure heels left in wrestling that didn't try to get cheered, and now he's sort of set up as this anti-authority figure. Do you worry about what that means for the psychology going forward, especially if he's going to take on Punk?
I think the fans want to see great wrestling matches. MJF's the top wrestler. CM Punk's the world champion, the top wrestler in the world. And I think having top contenders, whoever came out of this match tonight, MJF sets up as a great challenger. And now CM Punk is the world champion. MJF being back, a lot of fans were excited to see it. But anytime somebody makes a comeback in the world of wrestling, generally you get a really big reaction. Am I worried about it? No, not really. Like, we have one of the most charismatic, popular professional wrestlers in the world right here. And frankly, the fans can react however they want. That's what's great about AEW and pro wrestling. We're not trying to tell people what to think. This is a really compelling story. People were emotionally moved. People are calling that a great ending, and I'm really glad people liked it. But the fact is, it was a great match, and it was a great ending, and now we'll see what happens on Wednesday.
Is that going to headline Arthur Ashe, that match?
I'm not going to comment on it.
You go down.
Oh, thank you.
I'll tell you why I'm upset about it, is because if you're an EVP, you don't try to middle your top babyface. Try to get your niche audience that's on the internet to hate him for some made-up bullshit rumor. Really pisses me off. Stepping on your own dick, trying to fucking, make money, sell tickets, fill arenas, and these stupid guys think they're in Reseda.
Tom?
Yep, Dominic D'Angelo, adfreeshows.com. Punk, last time we were here last year, I asked you about like Terry Funk and his influence, like the legacy going on. Kind of, and this is for you too, Tony. I kind of like, you've done a great job with incorporating legends throughout, the course of AEW and as it goes on. Kind of want to see what you feel about how a lot of the modern talent today can kind of utilize some of the advice and take advice from like guys like William Regal and even like Jim Ross, Tony Schiavone. I know I'm missing Jake Roberts, plenty I'm missing, I'm sure. But I just kind of want to get both your perspectives on that and how that can kind of go a little bit more to help you guys out grow as a company.
We have a locker room full of pretty brilliant minds. Jerry Lynn, Dean Malenko, Mark Henry. When I came back and I cut my promo my second week here, I thought it was pretty decent. You know what I mean? Kind of blur the lines a little bit. What's he doing? Oh, crazy Phil. He's going into business for himself, and really, I was just defending myself. But you mix that in with attacking Moxley and mention, Kingston being the second best Kingston, which is a pretty great line. But our locker room, for all the wisdom and brilliance it has, isn't worth shit when you have an empty-headed idiot who's never done anything in the business do public interviews and say, I don't really take advice. Who the fuck do you think you are? That's stupid. I'm on a team with Barry Bonds, Mark McGuire, Sammy Sosa, and I don't need to work on my swing. I'm not going to listen to these guys. They're going to tell me how to swing a baseball. Fucking go fuck yourself. That's how I feel about it. I dare you to fucking say that to Terry Funk's face. I don't need to listen to you, Mr. Funk. I know what I'm doing. Fucking grow up.
Next question over here. Question for Punk.
I'm sorry, speak up. What?
Sorry, we can't hear you.
Sorry. Question for CM Punk, Bill Lindsay from Bleacher Report. I think it caught a lot of people by surprise your loss 2 weeks ago, and your foot injury came into play, and I wonder, how much of that came into play tonight? Because a lot of fans would assume that was part of the reason you lost, but that didn't seem to happen tonight.
I'm wearing Danhausen's boots. It was a true story. So I assume that it's like some sort of a reverse curse. I've had a real problem with footwear. I've been trying to figure out like what to wear. And that's real life. Like I put my old wrestling shoes on and they didn't fit. I bought a new pair of 12s. They didn't fit. I've thought about wearing my gym shoes. They didn't have the stability I needed. And I bought a pair of Doc Martens because they're really comfortable. But they were too loose. And then Danhausen was like, you want to try mine on? I'm like, they're size 10. And I put them on and they just magically fit. Like unbelievable, like a glove. They're tight, but not too tight. They give me stability and they're comfortable as hell. So I owe him more money now.
Hi Tony, hi Tom.
Izzy, how are you?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm sorry if I'm scary.
No, it's okay.
I like you though, you're all right.
Thank you, I like you too.
Thank you.
Izzy from the Hot Tag with Izzy. This question is actually directed towards Punk. We saw, you got your huge win tonight, congratulations, and also MJF return. What is the message that you're trying to direct towards MJF this time around, because you did have a feud with him months ago?
I mean, do I have to? I guess, I don't know. I'm tired of wrestling these pricks. I'm tired of wrestling these kids that think they know everything. But I'm not the boss. He won the number one contendership, and I guess I'll cross that bridge when I get to it. I think Max is a supremely talented individual, but this goes for him and anybody else in the locker room that doesn't want to be here. The grass is not greener on the other side. The grass is greener where you water it. And Max likes to, shit where he eats instead of watering the grass. So, we'll have to see how that goes. Thanks, Izzy.
John Albert podcast. Punk, a year ago we were in this room, and it was after Adam Cole had debuted, Bryan Danielson had debuted, and you said that it had the feeling of Bash at the Beach, where there was
Did I
that
say
energy.
that?
It was that energy.
Did I say that?
And a year later, here you are, world champion. Through the trials and tribulations, what's your honest assessment of the last year for you personally and professionally?
Like I know it sounds like, again, it sounds like a pretty ridiculous statement, you know, but I would like to think, in 5 years, you know, you'll see the impact of it. There's a chance I'm wrong, you know. We got an uphill battle in a lot of respects. There's just so much drama and turmoil going on, but I like to believe in the place I work. We do have a very, very strong roster. And like I said, we have a lot of brilliant minds backstage. So if young talent's willing to actually listen and receive advice and information, I honestly think sky's the limit. You know, there's always going to be people who think they should be the top guy, want to be pushed, you know. And I get that. I mean, that was me from like 2008 to 2010 or whatever. And you know, I always wanted more, but I thought I acted like a top guy. You know, like if I missed a flight, I rented a car and made the town. I didn't just go, oh, I missed the flight, I guess I'm not going to be a TV. I think Adam Cole is fantastic. I'm more worried about his health now than worried about if his impact on wrestling is going to be, you know, bigger than Scott Hall's or something like that. Like I just want the kid to be healthy because he's a sweetheart. You know. I know Eric Bischoff's really mad that I said that, so I stand by it.
Can you tell me a little bit about the recovery from the foot injury, as far as, you know, I know you went through, it's 3 months. That was
awful.
Pretty quick. That's, you know, and you had major surgery, you know, that stuff put in and everything. So
again, what I said in promo, I think maybe last week, was true. I did the stage dive. What an idiot. I must have hit my foot on the top of the guardrail, but I didn't feel it. And you would think that shit would hurt, but when people caught me, they put me back down, I waited for FTR, and I'm standing on my foot, and it just didn't feel right, you know? But I thought, again, maybe I just whacked it or something like that, and then I wrestled on it, blew a springboard, came off the top of like a double axe, like did all this shit. And what I eventually did is, yeah, I fractured my foot, but then I pulverized the bones. Pulverized is the word Dr. Jung used. Surgery was supposed to be an hour. It wound up being like 4.5. I got 3 plates and 16 screws in my foot, and I essentially I have a new foot now. You know, it is 100%, but it is a new 100%. And I'm, you know, every day I rehab. But when I started rehab, this is the worst injury I've ever had. You know, had surgery on my elbow, easy peasy. You know, lower back, I could bike the next day. I could get a coffee. I could go for a 6-hour walk. You know what I mean? And I could do something. I was bedridden for 2 weeks, and it was really, really hard for me because I really wanted to have this great summer and do good for Tony and sell tickets, draw money, help with ratings. And it all just came crashing down, but that's life, you know. I missed out on Forbidden Door and United Center. Really wanted to wrestle there, you know, and I have pride in my work, and I wanted to carry the title and, you know, carry through the summer and just help grow the business. So it was mentally devastating. I was bedridden for at least 2 weeks. I would be dead if it wasn't for my wife. I would also be dead because of my wife if that 3rd week I didn't get out of bed. Love April to death. I wouldn't be here right now in a lot of ways if it wasn't for her. It may sound corny to some people, not being able to walk my dog was like really challenging, you know. And then the rehab, like I could tell you how hard and painful it was and grueling, but I just wouldn't be able to do it justice. I was doing 2.5 hours of rehab, plus once they told me I could bike, I was biking my life away. Then I would go to the gym later and lift weights, and I was just trying to bust my ass to hurry up, and not necessarily hurry up to get back. I wanted to hurry up to get healthy, because if I'm not healthy, I'm no good to anybody. It was really, really tough. I just think it's, you know, I'm a little older now, and it was a pretty ridiculous. I think if I was 23, it would have been a hard injury. You know what I mean? Because I literally couldn't do anything. Trying to get around on crutches up and down stairs. You know, I got to walk 2 feet to go to the bathroom. I got crutches. It was pretty bad, and it was depressing. But thank you for asking.
Last question for CM Punk, Will?
Will Washington, Fightful.
What up, Will?
How you doing, Punk?
I'm okay.
I got a question for you, so that's on here, right? So I guess a good way to round this out would be to point out the fact that your win tonight brought to an end a fairly legendary run for Jon Moxley. He hasn't been defeated in AEW in over a year, and even with the months out, he hadn't, I believe it was, double or nothing last year was the last time he was pinned?
And it was in a tag match.
Yeah.
He's never, it was the first time he's ever taken a clean pin in an AEW match ever, I would say. I mean, where it was under pretty fair circumstances in over 3 years.
Yeah, so that brings to an end a fairly legendary run for Jon Moxley. Can you talk about what it means to be the guy to put an end to that run for Moxley?
Oh man, people are probably really mad at me then, huh? Alvarez, are you mad at me?
Not mad at you.
All right, I'm a little mad at you, but I think me and Mox are so similar, and obviously we got a lot in common. You know, like we both had some misdiagnosed staph infections. I mean, it's a weird thing to have in common. You know what I mean? But we came from the same place, and I think we felt a lot of the same things there. You know, kind of like there was a bridesmaid, but never the bride. I can only hope that he appreciates being able to, me doing that for him, just as I appreciate him doing this for me, you know, because I think we're both guys that nobody ever really did it for us, you know. Guys could have helped us out a little bit more, passed the torch a little bit more, and I think we're on an even footing, whereas before maybe you thought, you know, like I'm the bigger star. Like I'm here to try to elevate everybody, and I'm not saying that I have elevated Jon Moxley. I like to think maybe I did. I think that's what all of our jobs are, is to get, you know, if one person's up here, it's up to them to reach back and get everybody up to that level. But yeah, I think Jon Moxley, we have different philosophies about pro wrestling, but it's a beautiful thing because it's all pro wrestling, you know, and done right, it's just magic. I think he's a hell of a talent, and I sure do appreciate him, you know.
Thank you very much, CM Punk.
Thank you. Alvarez, you saw that video, man, and you were so incredulous that I went into business for myself, and I was just like,
No,
man.
I made sure to say that some people were upset that you had done that, and other people said that you were defending yourself, which is what you said, that you were defending yourself.
And the reason I've never defended myself is because when you do, it just sounds like you're being defensive. But I've eaten shit on this subject for a very, very long time. And I'm very sad today that I had to get up here and say his name. He doesn't fucking deserve it, and talk about it. But facts are facts, you know. Name 2 people that have made the most money off the name CM Punk. I don't think you're there yet. The first one's Vince McMahon. The second one's Scott Colton. I hope you all have a good night. Please be more responsible with the news you get from certain people, and just remember we're human beings. Thank you.
Thank you, Punk.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Did Larry have a good time?
Bro, Larry got one of the biggest pops of the night earlier. He got Lucy, ran down the thing. It was fucking great.
We love the dub shirt too, Punk.
Thank you.
You know Sidney Crosby love though?
Fuck Sidney Crosby. fuck Malkin. Fuck. You know what? You know what? Fuck Ron Francis. How about that? I'm still fucking pissed about it. Fuck him. Oh.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys.
Dirk Graham got a hat trick in fucking game 1. They still lose and get swept. Oh. God.
Somebody box up these spinnies and fucking.
Can I have one?
Yeah, yeah.
Thanks
You ever
for
do a
that.
spin drift?
Yeah, please.
It's
Thank
not
you.
that weirdo non-alcoholic shit.
Yeah,
It's
but I
just
like.
water.
No, I like both.
Yeah, spinnies are great.
Thanks, Phil.
Contrary to popular belief, I am a very nice guy. Thank you.
I always thought you were very nice to me, Phil.
Sorry, Nick.
Sorry. You were always very nice to me.